And I'm going to go over the slides real quickly, and I'm happy to also take any questions afterwards. Very quickly, introduction of myself. So I'm heading the team which is called Central Data Science, and we are working in a structure similar to what we have seen this morning already. So there are many data science teams within Boehringer Ingelheim, and we as a central data science team, we work very cross-functional. We focus on the one hand, for example, on the digital product development in the area of data science, but we are also responsible for the facilitation of the data science or data academy, which is our data literacy program. We are working in an initiative which is called Data Land, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, where we also work on providing a central data infrastructure to process data, to find data. I'm with Boehringer Ingelheim for 4.5 years. I started there in the digital lab BIX, and now leading the central data science team. I was working for a long time with Lufthansa, always in the field of data. From my background, I'm a mathematician, and I also studied computer science as a second topic. And I live in Ingelheim, in the beautiful city of Ingelheim, with my family, and I do a lot of sports. And if you would like to contact me, here's my email address. All right, so then let's get into the topic. I think in this audience, probably I don't have to talk about so much how data science is important for pharma, but I brought here a short overview of opportunity areas that we see along our entire value chain, from research and development in medicine, in operations, to commercial. And there are many potential use cases, application that can be created in order to really, for example, speed up clinical trial timelines, or to optimize the operation. However, if we look then into the difficulties that might come when you try to implement such initiatives, use cases, you see that here on this slide, you mostly run into human problems. So these are the results of a Gartner study that was done in 2020, where CDOs, so chief digital or data officers, were asked what are your major roadblocks to success for your data and analytics teams or projects. And as you can see, the top 5 answers make up for more than 50% of the replies, and it's mostly about human problems. It's really cultural challenges, for example, to accept the change, right? It's not done with creating an application. It needs the understanding, what is it doing? How can we use it? How can we trust this, for example? Then also a lack of resources, which often comes with, let's say, a bad prioritization, or not focusing on data and data science, a poor language around data about outcomes, and also, of course, the lack of relevant skills, so of talents in this area, which of course are very hard to recruit and also to retain. So these are all symptoms of something that Gartner calls a missing data literacy. So what is data literacy? I think we also heard it a little bit earlier. So it's defined as the ability to read, write, and communicate data in context. So basically, it's really informally, you would say, do you speak data? So can people with a business background understand what are the opportunities that data science brings, and are they able to translate between their subject matter to data science, and also do data experts understand the business context? Are we able to prioritize respectively, but also do we have the respective infrastructure, for example? So apart from this definition of data literacy, so how would you recognize good data literacy in your company? So if, for example, the executive team speaks data, is able to understand that data is not a side product, that we need to invest into data, that, for example, it's a priority to make data fair, so findable, for example, in a data catalog, make it accessible with clear data governance rules, make it interoperable and reusable, so that easy data access, and this is particularly for pharma companies a challenge and an important topic to tackle, is something that has to be prioritized. If there's a policy that's based on data, and if you hear the sentence, what does the data tell us, quite frequently this is a signal that good data literacy might be in place. More specific for data users, like I said, it's important that data users understand what is the potential of data science, and also that they understand the scientific method. That for example, there's an understanding that you need to test certain hypotheses, that it's not straightforward, that you don't immediately go from idea to implementation, but that you also can fail and that you have to set up your project for failing fast. It's simple things like business users understanding really the basics of the difference between correlation and causality, for example, or analytical methods. Very important also understanding data privacy, security, ethics, bias, and risk. Basically that if you don't have clean data and you cannot access the data or should not use it for that certain purpose, you cannot do anything, of course. And then last but not least, of course, data talents. I talked about the importance that you have the respective talents in the company, like, for example, data scientists and data engineers. They have to be able to understand the business context, but also as a company, you should make sure that these rare profiles like to work with you, and that they have the ability, the opportunity to grow within the company. And this goes along, for example, with clear development programs, career paths, communities, like we've heard that earlier. It's a very important aspect that the company can bring to data experts and let them grow in the company. So we also, as a company, recognized 1.5 years ago that there's a lot to do in order to become data literate and in order to do more and leverage the opportunities of data in a better way. And we started several programs. So we have a company-wide strategic program, which is called DataLand. And we, at the same time, founded the Data Science Academy, which goes very much along with this DataLand program. I could give a presentation alone about DataLand, but it's very, very shortly talking about what it is. It is a company-wide program, which is focusing on bringing our data or making our data accessible in a common infrastructure, in establishing clear data governance rules, for example. Like I talked about the fair data concept before. So it's focusing on making our data fair and making it accessible and having the infrastructure to process data, to operationalize use cases in a very quickly way, but also to understand which roles and responsibilities are needed. And along with this program, we created the Data Science Academy as a program which is focusing on the one hand on creating the necessary knowledge and creating the necessary mindset and understanding in the company with various target groups. And I'm going to show you a little bit later what target groups those are. But also that we're focusing on strengthening the in-house data expertise, so that we, for example, have development programs for our data experts, but also that we are focusing, for example, on recruitment, on retention, on partnerships, and so also on the data science community. And so it was relatively clear that for this, this is nothing that you would do on the side. So we decided to create a team which is going to take care of the Data Science Academy. So we hired really trainers. We have a relation manager, and I'm actually happy that a part of the team is also in the call today. So you might also have the opportunity to talk during the coffee break. So whom do we offer those trainings? Like I said, you need to focus on different target groups. So there is no one size fits all. And we have identified way more personas than you can see here, but those are basically the categories, the 3 categories that we build to look at our users. So we have on the one hand the leadership team, and of course leadership should get the knowledge, for example, how's data science influencing, impacting our business, and where are we going with this. And then we have the data experts, which are data scientists, data engineers, which have a very specific need to gain certain knowledge about newest methods and technologies, for example. And we have, of course, the general data users, which are mostly business users who we want to train, for example, into a role of a data translator. And so given these 3 categories, we not only were aware that we cannot have one size fits all training, but also that we have to focus on different formats. So on the one hand, we are offering instructor-led trainings with our own trainers, where we have very short modules which focus really on the relevant content, so that we really focus on, for example, strategic impact in and the basics of data science in a 2 hours training for senior executives, right? And this is something that is very, very short and very focused. But on the other hand, of course, for the more experts you want to train, the more specific the methods that you want to train, you have to be you have to go to for other formats, and also to partner with external partners and offer flexible e-learnings that are always reflecting the state of the art. So we have the so content-wise, if you look for leadership team, I said already. So this is really a high-level introduction, and it's focusing on impact and opportunities. For the data experts, we have some methods or technology trainings, but there's also the opportunity for people to grow into a data expert role. And this might maybe for one or the other be the same situation, that you usually have many people in the company who are working with data for a very long time and who have the right background to grow in a decent time into a data scientist or data engineering role. And we give, with the Data Science Academy, we give people a personalized learning path, which is a combination of in-house formats and external e-learning, so that they can grow into this expert role. And last but not least, for the data users, we have some trainings that are mostly instructor-led, where the focus is really on understanding how do data science projects work, how do I, for example, spot opportunities for data science projects in my area. So talking about partners, as you can see, we work quite with some e-learning partners, and the reason for this is really that also here there's no one size fits all. So we have for the data experts, we have these platforms like Coursera and Udacity, which offer very specific trainings in the area of data science. Like I said, for the leadership team, we have purely in-house instructor-led trainings for the senior executives, but also for what we call the let's say mid-level decision makers, which is a little bit of a longer course. So here we really have a day for people, for decision makers on the mid-level, that they can also get an understanding what are the decisions that they can drive in their area. And last but not least, the data science for business courses, which are a combination of in-house courses, but where we also recommend some trainings from LinkedIn Learning to let people be prepared for those trainings. And that's it so far. So we have, of course, for all the Boehringer Ingelheim employees, created an information and registration platform, so where they can get an overview of what are the offerings, how can I register, and I think this is also quite important that that there's a transparency around these offerings. And with that, I see that I have 3 minutes left. So I thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thanks a lot. So if you can have a look at the chat area, Brigitte, thank you so much for the presentation. We are busy with designing the rooms. If there, yes, if you can click the chat area to see there are questions.
Yes, I try.
I see a question from Guglielmo Iozia from MSD. In order to attract data science, machine learning, external talents, what is your opinion about the communication strategy pharma companies are pursuing nowadays? Can you see the question, Brigitte?
I can't see it, but I can answer it. So let me, I now go to the chat as well, but let me also meanwhile answer the question. So the communication strategy. So I can talk a little bit about what we are doing. So we have created an external employer branding campaign fully to attract talents, that we also show people, for example, what is very important for data experts is really that we are saying, for example, this career pathing, the community aspect, also the aspect that people are going to work on something meaningful, that we have an understanding of what are challenges, for example, for data scientists. So we have a whole campaign around attracting talents in this area and also communicating it respectively. And I think it's very important, because I think pharma is not necessarily the first business many people think of that that you would want to attract to your company.
Thanks a lot. I just, by mistake, I sent you another question. It was, ignore that message from me. Brigitte, if you can just look at the question of, okay, from Guglielmo again. Thanks, Brigitte. Okay, fine. So if there is any other questions, colleagues will